Ryan's office revenge.
At 2:47 in the morning, while watching 15 different banking networks get probed by what looked like a coordinated attack from Eastern Europe, I made a decision that would either save $1.1 billion or end my career. Maybe both. My name is Marcus Rodriguez. I'm 49 years old, and until 3 weeks ago, I thought corporate loyalty meant something. I've been watching computer networks for 22 years, ever since I got out of the Marines and discovered that reading network traffic patterns wasn't that different from reading terrain maps in Afghanistan. Same principle. You look for what doesn't belong, and when you find it, you figure out if it's going to hurt people. The difference is, in Afghanistan, when you spotted a threat, your chain of command usually listened to you. In corporate America, apparently they promote the guy who ignores you. My transition from military to civilian life wasn't easy. After 12 years in the Corps, most of it in communications and intelligence, the idea of sitting in an office all day felt like wearing a uniform that didn't fit. But I had a wife, Sarah, and a baby son to think about. Danny was 2 when I started my first IT job at a small credit union in San Antonio. Sarah used to joke that I treated network security like I was still defending a forward operating base. She wasn't wrong. You can't save everyone, Marcus. She'd tell me during those early years when I'd stress about every vulnerability scan and every failed login attempt. But you can save the people who trust you to do your job, right? Sarah understood the weight of responsibility better than most. She was a nurse at the local hospital, spent her days making decisions that kept people alive or let them slip away. When she got sick with cancer 3 years ago, I watched her fight with the same quiet determination she'd brought to everything else. She made me promise to keep that same fight in whatever I did next. It started with the acquisition. Our regional banking security firm, Texas Financial Security Solutions, got bought out by some Silicon Valley conglomerate called TechFlow Dynamics. New management, new procedures, new priorities. Most importantly, new leadership that thought cybersecurity was just another IT support function you could optimize with the right software and fewer people. Brad Hoffman was 35, had an MBA from Stanford, and had spent exactly 0 minutes actually stopping hackers from stealing people's money. But he had this confidence that comes from reading case studies instead of living through incidents. When he introduced himself to our team, he used the phrase synergistic security solutions 3 times in 5 minutes. I knew right then we were in trouble. The first red flag was when Brad announced we were right-sizing the security team. Right-sizing is corporate speak for firing people who know what they're doing and keeping people who cost less. My salary got cut 15% as part of the restructuring. Brad's got bumped up 40% for taking on additional responsibilities. Those additional responsibilities mostly involved sitting in on our incident response calls and asking questions that made it clear he'd never actually dealt with a real security breach. But he had buzzwords, and apparently buzzwords translate into management potential in ways that stopping actual attacks don't. The second red flag was when they brought in Alex Bennett, 26 years old, fresh out of some cybersecurity boot camp, and gave him the title Senior Threat Analyst. Alex was eager. I'll give him that. Asked good questions, wanted to learn. But eager doesn't stop a sophisticated attack when you're missing 15 years of pattern recognition and 3 weeks to figure out our network architecture. Brad called it bringing fresh perspectives to legacy challenges. I called it dangerous. My son Danny was starting his senior year at Texas A&M, mechanical engineering major, smart as hell, and twice as hardworking as I ever was. Tuition was running me $18,000 a semester, and between the salary cut and Sarah's medical bills from before she passed, money was getting tight. The plan was to stick it out another 4 years, get Danny graduated, build up the retirement account a bit more, then maybe transition into consulting work. Plans change when you're watching someone about to hand the keys to 15 banks to people who shouldn't be trusted with a checking account. I first noticed the reconnaissance activity on a Thursday night. Nothing dramatic, just unusual DNS queries and some port scanning that was too methodical to be random. Someone was mapping our clients' network infrastructures, learning their vulnerabilities, building attack paths. In my experience, when someone spends that much time and effort on reconnaissance, they're not planning to send phishing emails. They're planning something that requires precision. I documented everything. Screenshots, log files, traffic analysis, the whole digital paper trail. Sent it up the chain to Brad with a recommendation that we move to heightened alert status and start notifying our banking clients about potential threats. Brad's response came back 2 hours later. Marcus, appreciate the diligence, but let's not create alarm over routine scanning activity. Please focus on documented incidents rather than potential scenarios, routine scanning activity. I stared at that email for a long time, twisting my wedding ring around my finger the way I always do when I'm trying to process something that doesn't make sense. This wasn't routine anything. This was professional work, methodical, patient, the kind of thing that keeps you awake at 3 a.m. thinking about all the ways it could go wrong, but I followed orders. Documented the activity, filed it appropriately, and went back to monitoring, because that's what you do when you've been in the military and you understand chain of command, even when the chain of command is making decisions that make your gut twist up like rope. Friday night, the scanning stopped. Complete radio silence from the IP ranges that had been so active all week. In cybersecurity, sudden quiet is often worse than obvious noise. It means someone just finished gathering the information they needed. That weekend, Danny called from College Station. "Dad, you sound tired. Everything okay at work?" I was sitting in my home office, looking at network monitoring displays that hadn't changed all day. Too quiet, like the calm before a storm that you can feel in the air pressure but can't quite see yet. Just work stuff, son. New management, new procedures. You know how it is. Yeah, I get it. Remember when you told me about that sergeant you had in Afghanistan? The one who thought he knew better than the intelligence reports. I smiled, despite myself. Danny had a good memory for stories. What about him? You said the smart soldiers learned to listen to the guys who'd been there longest, not the guys with the shiniest bars on their shoulders. That's right. Well, maybe your new boss needs to learn that lesson too. After we hung up, I sat there thinking about why I'd been doing this job for 22 years. It wasn't for the corporate politics or the management buzzwords or the privilege of getting my salary cut while watching less experienced people get promoted. It was for people like Danny. People who trust that when they deposit their paycheck or transfer money for tuition, someone competent is making sure it doesn't disappear into some server farm in Romania. Sarah used to say that every job is really about protecting something. Nurses protect patients. Teachers protect kids' futures. Network security specialists protect people's trust in the systems that hold their lives together. You're not just watching computers, Marcus, she'd tell me. You're watching over families. Monday morning, Brad called an all-hands meeting to introduce new incident response procedures. Gone was the immediate escalation protocol we'd used for 8 years. Instead, we had a collaborative assessment framework that required sign-off from management before implementing any defensive measures that might impact business operations. We need to balance security concerns with operational continuity, Brad explained, clicking through slides full of flowcharts and decision trees. Too often, security teams overreact to perceived threats and create unnecessary disruption. I raised my hand. What about time-critical incidents? Financial attacks move fast. Sometimes you have minutes to respond. That's exactly the kind of thinking we need to evolve past, Brad said. Most security incidents aren't actually time-critical. They just feel urgent because security teams are trained to assume the worst-case scenario. Alex nodded enthusiastically. He was taking notes like Brad was revealing the secrets of the universe instead of describing a recipe for disaster. Rachel Martinez, our network administrator and one of the few people on the team who actually understood how banking security worked, caught my eye and shook her head slightly. We'd been through enough real incidents together to know what 30 minutes of administrative delay could cost when attackers were already inside your perimeter. After the meeting, I pulled Rachel aside. You thinking what I'm thinking? That we just got handed a procedure that's going to get us sued into bankruptcy the first time we actually need to use it. Something like that. Rachel had been with the company for 12 years, worked her way up from help desk to network administration through sheer competence and determination. She understood network architecture the way a mechanic understands engines, not just how it worked, but how it failed, and what you could do about it when failure wasn't an option. "Marcus, can I ask you something?" she said. "Back when you were in the service, did you ever get orders that were just obviously wrong? More than once. What did you do?" I thought about that for a minute. Depended on the situation. If following orders was going to get people killed, you found a way to protect people and deal with the consequences later. If it was just going to make your life difficult, you followed orders and documented everything so the truth would come out eventually. And if you couldn't tell the difference, that's when experience matters. That's when you trust the guy who's been there longest. Tuesday morning brought more silence from the IP ranges I'd been monitoring. But it was different now. Not the silence of preparation, but the silence of predators moving into position. My phone showed 14 missed calls from automated monitoring systems, all reporting the same thing: unusual network activity across multiple client sites. I called Brad's emergency number. Straight to voicemail. Called again. Voicemail. On the third try, he picked up, voice thick with sleep and annoyance. Marcus, this better be urgent. We've got reconnaissance activity escalating across all client networks. Pattern suggests coordinated preparation for a major incident. We should move to heightened alert status and notify clients immediately. Silence for a few seconds. I could hear him typing, probably trying to log into the monitoring system from his laptop. I'm looking at the dashboard now. Some elevated activity, but nothing that looks critical. Let's schedule a team call for 8 a.m. and assess the situation properly. Brad, this isn't something we can schedule around if this is what I think it is. We're looking at hours, not days. Marcus, we just had this conversation yesterday. We're not going to panic over routine network fluctuations, follow the new protocol, document the activity, and we'll review it with the full team. And if I'm right, if this escalates overnight, then we'll handle it properly through appropriate channels with proper authorization. He hung up. I stared at my phone for a moment, then looked at my computer screens. The monitoring displays were lighting up like Christmas trees now. Multiple intrusion detection alerts, unusual data flows, authentication anomalies spreading across 15 different banking networks. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a small digital recorder Sarah had given me years ago. For when you need to remember exactly what someone said, she'd told me. Sometimes, the truth is the only thing that protects you. I hit record and started documenting everything I was seeing. Every alert, every anomaly, every piece of evidence that we were watching the opening moves of something much bigger than routine network fluctuations. Because I had a feeling that before this was over, someone was going to need to explain exactly what happened, when it happened, and who knew about it when. Tuesday morning at 2:47 a.m., my phone started buzzing with alerts. Not one or two alerts, dozens. Network intrusion detection, unusual data movement, authentication anomalies, the whole Christmas tree lighting up red across 15 different banking networks. I called Rachel first. She answered on the first ring, which told me she was already looking at the same alerts. This is it, she said without preamble. The reconnaissance from last week. They're inside. How many institutions? All of them. Every client we monitor. Simultaneous penetration across 15 different networks. This is coordinated. I pulled up the attack visualization on my main monitor. What I saw made my stomach drop. This wasn't random opportunistic hacking. This was military precision coordination. Multiple attack vectors, synchronized timing, different entry points, but identical objectives, administrative access to core banking systems. The kind of operation that takes months to plan and execute. The pattern recognition kicked in immediately. I'd seen this kind of coordination before, in intelligence briefings about state-sponsored cyber operations, multiple simultaneous targets, diversified attack methods, backup penetration routes in case primary access got blocked. This wasn't some script kiddie operation. This was professional work. Rachel, we need to start containment procedures immediately. Brad's new protocol says we need management approval first. Brad's protocol is going to cost people their life savings. I called Brad's emergency number, straight to voicemail, called again, voicemail. On the third try, he picked up, voice thick with sleep and annoyance. Marcus, this better be urgent. We've got active breaches across all client networks. Coordinated attacks, sophisticated actors. They're going for administrative access. We need to implement containment now. Silence for a few seconds. I could hear him typing, probably trying to log into the monitoring system from his laptop. I'm not seeing anything that dramatic. Some elevated activity, but these systems throw false positives all the time. Brad, I've been doing this for 22 years. These aren't false positives. We've got maybe 30 minutes before they establish persistent access and start moving money. Let's not panic, Marcus. Schedule a conference call for 6 a.m. and we'll assess the situation properly. 6 a.m.'s by 6 a.m., they'll have downloaded customer databases and be long gone. Follow the protocol, Marcus, document the activity, and we'll review it with the full team. He hung up. I stared at my phone for a moment, then looked at my computer screens showing attack progression across 15 banks. $1.1 billion in customer deposits at risk. Danny's tuition account at one of those banks, my own retirement savings at another. Sarah's voice echoed in my memory. You can't save everyone, Marcus, but you can save the people who trust you to do your job right. That's when I made the decision. I called Rachel back. We're implementing containment procedures without management approval. I'll take responsibility for the next 3 hours. Rachel and I worked like we were defusing a bomb with a timer counting down. Because that's essentially what it was. We isolated compromised network segments, blocked malicious IP ranges, forced password resets on administrative accounts, and locked down data access faster than I'd moved since my military days. The attackers were good, really good. Every time we blocked one access route, they shifted to another. It was like playing chess with someone who'd already studied your entire playbook. But we had something they didn't expect: institutional knowledge. Rachel knew every quirk and vulnerability in our network architecture. And I knew every trick attackers used to maintain persistence once they got inside. Alex joined us around 4 a.m., took one look at what we were dealing with, and immediately understood why we couldn't wait for committee approval. Kid might have been inexperienced, but he wasn't stupid. He jumped in without questions, following our instructions and learning on the fly. "Mr. Rodriguez," he said during a brief break around 5 a.m., "this is way more sophisticated than anything we covered in training." "That's because training teaches you about the attacks that already happened," I told him. "Real attackers are always working on something new." By 6 a.m., when Brad finally showed up for his conference call, we'd contained the attack. 14 of the 15 targeted banks were secure. The 15th had already lost some customer data before we could stop the exfiltration, but the financial systems were intact. Total damage: less than 50,000 customer records compromised instead of complete system penetration across all 15 institutions. Brad was furious. Not because of the attack, because we'd acted without following his protocol. "You directly violated established procedures," he said, voice tight with control. "You could have caused massive operational disruption." "We prevented massive operational disruption," I said, "and we saved $1.1 billion in customer funds." "That's not the point. The point is following protocol. We can't have security staff making unilateral decisions about network changes." I looked at him across the conference table, this 35-year-old MBA who thought risk management was something you learned from spreadsheets, and I felt something shift in my chest, like a gear clicking into place after months of grinding. "Brad, I've been protecting financial networks since before you graduated college. What we stopped last night was a coordinated attack by professional criminals. Your protocol would have handed them the keys to 15 banks. Your protocol," he corrected. "This is about following proper channels." I reached into my pocket and pulled out the digital recorder, set it on the conference table between us. "Actually, Brad, this is about competence. And I've got 3 hours of audio documentation showing exactly what happened when competent people ignored incompetent orders." His face went white. "You recorded our emergency calls. I documented everything. The reconnaissance activity I reported last week that you dismissed. Your refusal to authorize defensive measures during an active attack. Your insistence on following procedures that would have guaranteed the attack's success." I ejected the memory card from the recorder and slid it across the table. "That's a copy. I've got the originals backed up in multiple locations, along with all the technical logs showing attack progression and our response timeline. Should make for interesting reading when the FBI asks how $1.1 billion almost got stolen on your watch." That afternoon, I got called to HR. Jennifer Walsh, the HR director, had printed copies of Brad's incident report. According to his version, I had acted recklessly, violated established procedures, and created unnecessary risk by implementing unauthorized network changes without management approval. "Marcus, we need to discuss your future here," Jennifer said. "Brad has recommended that we consider whether you're a good fit for our new operational framework." I slid a flash drive across her desk. "Before we discuss my future, you might want to look at what's on there." The drive contained everything. The reconnaissance activity I documented and reported. Brad's dismissive response, audio recordings of our emergency calls, technical logs showing the attack progression and our containment response, and a detailed analysis of what would have happened if we'd followed Brad's protocol. The attack would have succeeded. I explained. 15 banks would have been compromised. Customer data would have been stolen. Financial accounts would have been drained. The lawsuits alone would have destroyed this company. Jennifer reviewed the files for 20 minutes without saying a word. When she finished, she looked up with an expression I couldn't quite read. "How many people know about this documentation? Just me for now." "What do you want, Marcus?" What did I want? I wanted to work for a company that valued competence over politics. I wanted to protect financial systems without having to fight my own management. I wanted to make sure Danny's tuition was secure and my retirement was on track. I wanted respect for 22 years of keeping other people's money safe. I want Brad removed from any decision-making authority over security operations. I want the old incident response protocol reinstated, and I want this company to understand that cybersecurity isn't a cost center you optimize away. She nodded slowly. I'll need to discuss this with senior management. 3 weeks later, the FBI called, not 2 days, not a week, minus 3 weeks, which is how long federal bureaucracy actually takes to follow up on cybercrime incidents. Mr. Rodriguez, this is Special Agent Patricia Williams with the FBI's Cybercrime Division. We understand you recently dealt with a coordinated banking attack. We'd like to discuss the details with you. Turns out, the attack we'd stopped was part of a larger campaign that had hit financial institutions across 6 states. The FBI had been tracking the group for months, but our incident was the first time anyone had managed to contain their attack and preserve detailed forensic evidence. Your response was textbook perfect, Agent Williams said. We'd like to offer you a consulting position with our cybercrimes task force. The consulting work led to other opportunities. Defense contractors who needed someone with clearance-eligible background and proven incident response experience. Private firms who wanted real expertise instead of management buzzwords. 2 months after the attack, I got an offer from Patriot Defense Systems. Senior Cybersecurity Architect, 35% salary increase, full benefits, and a signing bonus that would cover Danny's remaining tuition with enough left over to start rebuilding my retirement account. I took the job. My last day at TechFlow Dynamics, Alex stopped by my office. Mr. Rodriguez, I wanted to thank you for that night and for everything you taught me. Just remember, I told him, your job isn't to follow protocols that don't make sense. Your job is to protect people's money. Everything else is just corporate theater. Brad was quietly reassigned to strategic planning initiatives within a month. Last I heard, he was working on optimization frameworks for operational efficiency. I'm sure he's very efficient about it. The real vindication came 6 months later at Danny's graduation ceremony. Texas A&M, mechanical engineering, summa cum laude. I sat in the audience watching my son walk across that stage, thinking about Sarah and how proud she would have been. After the ceremony, Danny found me in the crowd. Dad, I got the job offer from that Houston engineering firm, the one that designs infrastructure systems. That's great, son. What did they say about the salary? More than I expected. Enough to start paying you back for tuition. I shook my head. Keep your money. Build your life. That's what education is for. Dad, can I ask you something? Anything that situation at work, the one that led to your new job, you never told me the whole story. I thought about how to explain it. The attack, the recordings, the documentation that proved competence over politics. The decision to walk away from a company that didn't value what I brought to the table. Sometimes, Danny, you have to stand up for what you know is right, even when the people in charge are telling you you're wrong. Your mom taught me that. And sometimes, the best thing you can do is find people who value what you're good at. Like your new job, like my new job. These days, I work with a team that understands cybersecurity. When I recommend a protocol, people listen because they hired me for my expertise, not because they needed to fill a position. My phone doesn't buzz with alerts at 2 a.m. unless something's actually wrong. And when young engineers ask me for advice, I tell them the same thing Sarah used to tell me. You can't save everyone, but you can save the people who trust you to do your job right. Last month, I started a side consulting practice focused on helping other veterans transition into cybersecurity careers. Nothing big, just passing along what I've learned about reading network traffic, the way we used to read terrain maps, about trusting experience over buzzwords, about standing up for competence when politics tries to override common sense. Alex called me last week. He'd taken a position with a federal contractor, working on critical infrastructure protection. Mr. Rodriguez, they asked me about incident response procedures. I told them about that night, about what real leadership looks like under pressure. What did they say? They offered me a permanent position, said they needed more people who understood the difference between following orders and protecting assets. I smiled, twisting my wedding ring around my finger. Sarah would have understood that distinction perfectly. Sometimes the best revenge isn't dramatic. Sometimes it's just refusing to let incompetent people endanger what you've spent your career protecting. Sometimes it's walking away from a company that doesn't value what you do and finding people who do. And sometimes it's teaching the next generation that competence matters more than compliance, that expertise earned through experience deserves respect. and that protecting people's trust is worth more than any paycheck. That's worth fighting for. That's worth a career change at 49, and that's definitely worth sleeping better at night. Your worth isn't measured by how much incompetence you're willing to tolerate. It's measured by how many people sleep better at night because you refuse to compromise on what matters. 22 years taught me that loyalty flows both ways, and the moment a company stops valuing your expertise is the moment you start valuing yourself enough to find people who will.